I never thought that I would enjoy a third-person shooter as much as I'm enjoying Caliber, and it seems like others feel the same. The Steam reviews are ranked very positive, and the developers have a robust roadmap for the future of the game. And in a cool coincidence, the devs actually reached out to sponsor this video as I was actually just getting into the game. So make sure to check out this totally free-to-play game using my link in the video description. Now firstly, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How do you make a good tactical third-person shooter? The whole concept of being able to see over walls and around corners without having to expose yourself seems to throw a wrench in the way that most tactical shooters approach combat. The difference with Caliber is that the devs clearly understand these issues and have built the entire game around balancing them into a fair and fun experience. Flanking is often key to winning a match, and the maps are all designed to facilitate lots of flanking. Plus, they give you gadgets and tools to push straight at your target if you have to, like smoke grenades and ballistic shields. And while at times it can seem like it's an easy option to just corner camp and wait for your opponent to push you, I found that peeking your target and then circling around to get a flank can be a solid way to get the jump on them. Now, Caliber is a squad-based shooter, with the teams broken up into 4 players with 4 different classes: Assault, Support, Medic, and Marksman. Each class has access to a pool of gadgets, abilities, and weapons that are divided across the game's operators. And each different operator has a pretty broad range of gear, so if you like playing Medic, you're not always just going to be stuck with a med bag. You'll have a bunch of different options to choose from. For example, you could just go with the tried and true med bag that heals allies, or you could have bandages, or you could pick a bag that gives health and armor, while other operators might come with a support drone that'll follow teammates and help them in combat with heals. As much as Caliber is still a class-based game, it's also a very open-ended system that encourages experimentation and building a class around the playstyle that you specifically like. Now, an even bigger twist with this game is that unlike most games with heroes or operators, Caliber's operators each come with a specific weapon and gadget loadout. So if you want a certain gun or ability, you actually have to play as the operator who offers it, which does give you a good reason to switch between operators even if you're not changing classes. Now, recently the game got a major update to the economy system based on player feedback, and I gotta say that progression feels absolutely great. Plus, even while playing some of the low-ranked, barely progressed newbie classes, I never felt at a huge disadvantage. Now, as you play, you earn XP credits via challenges and just general progression to unlock weapon attachments and skills for your operator. XP points can be used to buy cosmetics, emotes, finishing moves, and even the other operators in the game. And after a few hours of playing, you should have enough XP to start unlocking a couple of different operators and start customizing them. But you will want to check out their stats and choose carefully, as there's currently 60 to pick from, and they all have different abilities and weapons. It's also neat how the operators are picked from different special forces from around the world. So you can either pick somebody that's from your country, or just pick an operator that looks really cool to you, or from a special forces that you've always thought was particularly interesting. There's also daily and weekly challenges to help earn credits faster, and a reward track for leveling up that has 100 different tiers of rewards, including premium currency and XP points. And it kind of feels like the unlock process starts to speed up as you play further and progress further on these tiers. More or less, the game has a pretty traditional free-to-play model supported by paid cosmetics and unlocks, but nothing that affects the gameplay is exclusive to microtransactions. Everything is earnable by just playing the game. And this whole system was one of the key changes that the devs made when they decided to go independent. The prior system had you go on the game's website, it had a ton of paid stuff that you had to wade through just to experience the full game, and it was overall pretty confusing. The updated system is something that anyone who's played a game with a battle pass will be super familiar with. Now, Caliber is also pretty unique in that it offers both PvP, PvE, and a mixed PvPvE mode. If it feels a little too punishing or overwhelming to play against other players when you're just learning, you can choose to play a PvE match and co-op with other players just to get a grip on the combat while you still earn full XP. There's also a very robust training area where you can try pretty much every operator in a PvE combat scenario. So if you're on the fence about unlocking the new operator and you're not sure which one would be best for you, you can test them out first. Now, when it comes to the PvP modes, Annihilation is great for just getting constant action and experience with your operator and weapons. Both teams are fighting to reach a point cap, which they basically get by killing the other team's operators. It's a bit more of a loose game mode, and in my opinion, opinion, an easier way to get into the game. However, Showdown is the more traditional no respawn multiple round mode where teams have to work together and single flanking moves can be the deciding factor of an entire match. There's also ranked play, which you unlock at level 20 if you're looking to get more serious about the game, and it seems like Caliber offers plenty of depth for higher level coordinated play. Now in general, I found the UI to offer some really nice features. When queuing up for a match, the game lets you select a specific operator that you might just want to play with, say you're in the mood for assault only, or you can check the ones that you're okay with playing or check all of them to reduce the queue times, which is a very cool feature, and it'll actually show you how you're manipulating your queue time based on how loose you're willing to be with your operator selection. The UI also has a ton of information, including detailed weapon profiles showing things like damage drop off at specific distances, stuff that most other games make you figure out on your own or go to third-party websites for. There's a lot more depth than I was expecting with Caliber. The third-person perspective is almost always something that triggers me and says casual experience, but when playing the shooter, I didn't have any of those aggravating moments where I felt like someone was abusing peeking to the extent where I couldn't get to them. And often, distracting somebody in a sustained firefight is enough for your teammates to actually hit them with a flank, so sometimes it can be good to try and pretend like you're all out of flanking options while your teammates come in for the kill. Now, the maps themselves have a pretty big variety of locations, from dingy desert towns to covert military bases. They all seem to have unique layouts and well-rounded theming that makes them feel pretty distinct from each other, but they also cater to the positional gameplay and flanking route design. Now, generally speaking, I wouldn't dare predict that a third-person shooter has a real chance in the tactical shooter world, but Caliber is basically a showcase of how to do third-person right. I definitely recommend checking this game out, especially if you have your doubts about third-person tactical shooters. It's on Steam and it's free to play, so there's no risk of wasting your money. Also, the North American servers are up and running, so if you had tried Caliber in the past and didn't get into any NA servers, well, now they're here. If you're a bit burnt out on the basic shooter design and the constant recycling and refreshing of the exact same concept, Caliber may be just the fresh departure that you're looking for. Let me know in the comments what you think about the game, and also I'd be curious to hear your tips on what you think the best operators are. I'm looking to get some upgrades. And next up, check out my video on another unusual shooter, one that's designed by a single person. As always, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.